In this video, I'm going to show you how you can find and leverage your LinkedIn newsletter analytics. And this video is going to be most useful for you if you are about to launch your LinkedIn newsletter or you just started your LinkedIn newsletter and you've heard of the analytics, but you're like, where do I find them? What do I do with them? What do they even mean? So I'm going to bring up my screen and then we will go from there. And if you don't know who I am, I'm Shanae Murray. Check out the rest of the channel and check me out on LinkedIn. All right, let's do this. And all right, so hopefully that is showing right now. Perfect. And no, let me share my screen. No. Ah, I see. This is kind of annoying. Hold on. Haven't used Restream in a while. Okay, perfect. Let's just leave it there. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to your profile and all you're going to do is scroll down a little bit. You're going to go to your activity section. And if you have a newsletter, your newsletter should appear somewhere in your activity section. So you'll see posts, comments, videos, images. And as you can see here, there's newsletter. If you don't see it, then maybe you created an article without launching a newsletter, or you have to put the down arrow here and you'll see it here. Now, here's a pro tip. If you have a newsletter and you are going to be consistent with your newsletter, you should probably put it at the forefront of your profile. The way that you would do that is click the pencil and then click newsletter. Now the newsletter is going to be easy for you to find because it's going to be the first thing that appears in the activity section. Now, to navigate to the analytics, what you're going to do is click the name of your newsletter right here. And then all the way at the top, you'll see analytics. If you don't see this, sometimes it does glitch, and just hit refresh because it's LinkedIn and it could be glitchy. Then what you'll do is you'll click View Analytics. This is what you'll see, the name of your newsletter. You'll see the past 7 days, which you could toggle down to up to 365 days. And then what you'll see is the number of article views and the new subscribers that you have garnered in this time frame that you've chosen. So let's talk about what article views mean, because one question that I get a lot is, what are impressions? What are article views? And that confusion comes from this. So you'll see this screen right here where it shows article totals. All you have to do is click the arrow, and it says the number of times your articles posted were displayed on screen within the date range specified. So remember that when you publish an edition of your LinkedIn newsletter, a lot of the times it also will publish as a post. Well, all the times it will publish as a post. Now, whether that post is public or private, whether that post is visible to everyone or just to your followers or whatever, is a different story. But it will definitely be a post. So the impressions are just how many times people have seen it in the feed as they've kind of been scrolling on LinkedIn. And then the views are how many times people saw it in their emails and then clicked back in to read the article from their emails. Because remember, the power of the LinkedIn newsletter is to actually reach people's inboxes on behalf of LinkedIn. Down here, you'll see the subscriber demographics. And this is really, I'd argue, one of the most important things to see if what you are writing is resonating with the right type of person. So if in my case, let's say that my number one prospects or the people that I wanted to reach were software engineers, then I'm kind of hitting the mark, but they really should be up here. That's not the case. So, founders, business owners, CEOs are, my ideal prospects. And so I am reaching the right people. It would probably be even better if like this was presidents or like vice presidents or co-founder. So now I know that maybe I could tailor my messaging a little bit to kind of weed out everyone else that's not level one, top of the echelon decision maker. And it allows me to learn how I can refine my messaging. At the bottom here, you'll see like who subscribes and who has subscribed within this number of days. Okay. Now that's relevant for when you drop down this list, it's going to show you the people, you can connect with them, you can message them. That's going to be an entirely different video. But this is where you find your initial analytics. Now let's go back because every single article will have its own analytics as well as the general analytics. So let's just say I click this one. All you have to do is click into the article, and then at the top, you'll see view stats. So I'm going to click the individual analytics or the individual stats for this particular article instead of the whole newsletter in general. So I'm going to click that. And then I'm going to see the stats of, okay, these are the impressions. Remember, of people that have seen this kind of as a post on my feed, which, yes, I care about, but not as much as the article performance. Like, this is really the number that I care about. And not just the number, but also who. So if for this particular article, the number one demographic that read it or that resonated with it were salespeople, and then for some reason there's still software developers. And let's say that I really wanted to resonate more with founders and business owners, then I need to learn from kind of my mistake. And this was a case study, so I could filter more. I could have said like case study for founders, case study for CEOs, and make it more resonant with just the headline so that mostly CEOs would click into it once they receive it in the email. I could make the case study that I choose relative to those people. I could choose different case studies, right? And I could choose case studies around the problems that I know that they have. So let's say I want to target a CEO that has a team of 50 people, 50 to 100 people, and has a sales team and a marketing team, and they don't know how to build their personal brand on LinkedIn, then I would choose a client case study to resonate with those people. But this allows me to learn. This is why consistency is so important, and why actually looking at your analytics is so important, because you don't know who you're resonating with until you actually look. And then you'll see kind of companies. This is actually interesting. You can see locations, whatever. But this is the main thing for me. All right. And you can see the number of people. You could also compare that to like other ones. And it's kind of tedious, yes, but you could go through like your last 10 and you could see, okay, which articles resonated the most, number one, with CEOs, with founders, with business owners, because those are topics that I want to double down on. And you'd be surprised that sometimes the ones that resonate with your target market the most are not necessarily the ones that get the most engagement, or not necessarily the ones that have the most article views. So you don't want to be swayed by just the article view number. And then I get the question, which is, if you have multiple newsletters, which we won't go down this rabbit hole, but let's say that you're launching your second or your third newsletter, LinkedIn doesn't make it easy for you to actually find that newsletter. So if you were to create a second or third LinkedIn newsletter, your first one that you ever created would still be the one that's positioned at the front, unless you were to delete it, and then it kind of be replaced with the next one. So the way to see that is you have to go down here and you have to click show all editions. And then what you'll see is kind of like your entire library of newsletters. Now, there is a caveat here that there's no tag or indication as to which newsletter edition belongs to which newsletter. So for example, I know that in my personal development newsletter, this was an article that I wrote in that newsletter, and so was this one. And I believe so was this one as well. But had I not really paid attention to that or been aware of that, how I would have to figure that out is you have to click the article, And then you have to look at the top. So here we see, okay, that is in my personal development newsletter. It's a little bit combobulated, misconfabulated and chaotic, but that's how you're going to have to navigate it. The only other option is to potentially put this in your featured section, but we won't go down that rabbit hole either. And then the way that I would look at the analytics for this particular newsletter and then see all of the additions within this particular newsletter is to actually click on it. All right. So I hope that I answered some of your questions regarding LinkedIn newsletter analytics, at least the ones that I get a lot. In a future live video, I'm going to show you, okay, how do we actually start to contact some of the subscribers that subscribe to our newsletters, so on and so forth. And I'll just end with this. Don't always let the wrong metrics guide you. So for me, none of those metrics actually matter the most. The metric that matters the most is how many private emails did we garner from that particular newsletter edition? So whether they're going to a free training or downloading an ebook, I'm cross-referencing that data. So let's say that on the day I published this newsletter and the following day, I got the most traction in terms of inbound private emails onto our private email list. And I have evidence that the conversion rate of those people that came to the email list is higher when I talk about those things. That's the metric that I'm going to follow. And I'll double down on those topics, even if the article views and the demographics that are showing on LinkedIn are not necessarily the ones that I think that I want, even if they're the lowest ones. So just understand that if you're leading people to a call or to your private email list off of LinkedIn, that should be the metric that holds the most power over article views, impressions, so on and so forth. And that you need to take a kind of a second tier analysis and cross-reference the article views and your LinkedIn newsletter editions with when you get the calls, when you get the most emails inbound, so on and so forth. That was a little bit complicated, but I hope that you get the point. And